Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Running Portal. My name is Monica Rose, and I have with me Lisa Decker. And if this face looks familiar, it is because we have had her as a guest before. I wanted to bring her back onto the channel because she's been just a little bit busy since we've last had her on. And she is acquiring some serious distance underneath her feet, with, a little bit of a different take than what you normally think of in ultra running. And I think that's what makes this cool. And then add another layer to it that two of the events that she's done this year, where she could have kept it solely on her, she, of course, turned it towards Snowdrop and did fundraising for that. And so we want to talk to her a little bit about that because Habanero is coming up and she's doing some um, fundraising for that. And then, do I dare say that you are an influencer for creating a ruck division, not only at Habanero, but at Achilles Hill? And so I think that's
Oh, yeah.
really, really cool because if you have somebody that doesn't want to run, but they are a hell of a power walker, we're going to talk about what rucking is. I'm going to let Lisa show you what her ruck pack looks like, and maybe that might interest you. And if you CrossFit and you do any of the Murph challenges with the weighted vest, that is very similar to what she wears. And that's like a serious level of like respect that I have for all of y'all that are out there doing these distances. I think my little camelback all weighted in is like 3.5 pounds, which is like, a snack. To yours is what, 20, 25 pounds when you're out there?
Yeah, my weight vest right now is 20 and my ruck is about 25, but that's kind of low for me. When it gets hot out, I drop my weight about 10 pounds.
Yeah. So see, yeah, mine's a snack. Hers is the real deal. So, Lisa, can you give us just a quick introduction to who you are, especially for some of our newer listeners that haven't been on our channel before?
Sure. So again, my name's Lisa Decker. I've been doing trail and ultra running for about 10 years now. Actually, Habanero that's coming up, I consider it my anniversary race. It was my first race in 2015, so this race is pretty special to me. I did my first ultra in 2016. It was a 50K for my 30th birthday, and it was horrible, but I finished. And now I really enjoy the fixed timed races and the journey races. So that's what I focus most of my time and training on. Doing those, they bring me a lot of joy.
And I agree with it. I think out of all of the ultras, and that's what I really like about the trail and ultra community is that you really can create your own story. So that, like you said, there are the fixed time events, there are big events, there are the traditional ultra races where you have cutoff times and you have to finish the race by, within so many hours. But I really do like the fixed time events, and for I think those are really great for someone who's new to trail, and it's a little overwhelming to think, holy crap, I've got to go into the woods, up a mountain, in the desert by myself, not get
Mhm.
lost, and somehow make it back to the end of this race. Those fixed time events are really great because they're generally looped. You see people repeatedly over and over. So it takes some of the stress of that
Yes,
down.
and you don't have the pressure of like chasing cutoffs, which gives
Yes.
me so much anxiety during races. Like I start doing ultra math, which I have people tell me stop doing math. It's not good for you. So that's why I like those because the pressure is like completely gone.
Oh yeah. And it really is like one big party, and you start maybe knowing one or two people, and then like by the end of it you seem to like know everybody.
Make some
um
lifelong friends also.
oh yes, yeah, and they generally influence you to do more bad things that where races are
Much
concerned.
yes.
So
All the time.
I want to start with, before we dive into the different races, can you just explain to us when people are seeing the word rucking? Because I feel like it's starting to come up more, and you are
Yeah.
part of the Texas Strong Rucking Club. So can you
Yes.
just show us your ruck pack and explain what rucking is and kind of the rules? Because there are some rules to it when you're using it in a race.
Yeah, so rucking essentially is going on a walk with weight. There's a little bit of a mixture between the difference of rucking and wearing a ruck and wearing a weight vest, because rucking traditionally is wearing weight on your back. So I have, um, oh, and it has my weight in it. So sorry. So I have, it's pretty much like a backpack. I have a 20-pound weight plate in here. You could put like a bladder, so you can see I have like my hose here. So this goes on your back, and you just kind of wear it and walk, run, shuffle, whatever you can. Oh, you probably heard that. And then I have my traditional weight vest, which is covered in my lovely patches, because you get patches with rucking instead of medals. Well, sometimes you do both, but patches have kind of become more special to me than medals. So wear this. The weight is more evenly distributed on the front and back. So I prefer my weight vest for the longer distances I do. When I started doing, I guess I call it ultra rucking, I my weight vest is more comfortable, and I'm able to carry it differently than my ruck. But my ruck I love wearing with my club. There are some rules. You'll see some races. I think Tejas Trails, their rule is only wearing on your back.
Right.
Um, a lot of it, there's a weight requirements. Usually, if you're over 150 pounds, like the minimum to carry is 20 pounds. If you're under 150, the minimum is usually 10 pounds. And then sometimes they have a category on light rucking or heavy rucking. So when I do like jackalope jam, I carry a minimum of 30 pounds with me because I'm a little extra and want to do the heavy ruck. So yeah, so just different rules about how much you should carry. Like, they weigh your pack for you. So yeah, that's pretty much the difference between the rucking and going and doing running events. Because some people's packs, I mean, they still can be 5 or 10 pounds, just
Right.
hydration pack. But this is like I have like weight plates in there, and having to, yeah, time on feet and time on my legs carrying all that.
And I will say, if anybody is wanting to do this, please do not just throw like 10, 15 pounds in a bag and throw it on your back. You've got to build your back up. You've got to build everything up
You do.
to be able to do this. So it's not like in the gym, when you do, I think CrossFit, we call it farmer's carry. When you have kettlebells or dumbbells, it's completely different when it's on your back. And then the weighted vest, to me, if I was to do this, I would find that more comfortable because, like you said, the weight is more evenly distributed, and that especially when you're doing for Jackalope Jam. So that one is put on by Trot Guides. It's a fixed time event. You got 100, 72, 48, 24, and 6 hours,
12. Yeah.
12 and 6. And so yeah, I would much rather have the weighted vest so that it's evenly distributed, and you're not 72 hours with all of that weight on your back. I can't imagine. That's already making my poor back is already like caving in. Like it's like no. So, but I wanted people to hear what that was, because I know, like, when I was getting ready for this, I was trying to think back of like when you and I first met, and I feel like we loosely interacted through trot events.
Mhm.
And then there was Jackalope Jam, and then you've always been a volunteer at Habanero, and
Mhm.
Habanero is, I feel like that race is really starting to grow in popularity. I'm not sure why. Um,
I don't know either. It's the dumbest race. I don't know why I'm doing it. It draws me.
it's like I feel like you do one, and then you talk to people out there and you quickly surmise that it was also their first ultra, but it's their 10-year anniversary. And since we're talking about Habanero, it was really cool last year because we had two first. We had our first guide runner, which was so awesome to see him out there
Was
because
completely blind. Jeff is
yeah,
amazing, an amazing runner, and
he
loves
is.
seeing that.
I mean, he really shows that there's no reason why you can't do this. You don't have to do the big distance, but he absolutely shows you can do it.
And he
Um,
did do the big distance. He did the 100K.
yes, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I just was like, and the creek actually had a little bit of water in it last
Yes.
year, and somebody was cute and had created like a little bit of a bridge, which became more of a hazard than actual
Yes.
help because I was like, Gracie Lou here is going to put one foot on that bridge, and that's it. I'm done. I'm done. But you were the other new part of that because you decided, well, not only am I going to do the 100K, but I'm going to do it a little bit in a big style. So tell people a little bit of what you did because what she decided to do influenced Trot having an actual ruck division this year for the first time in Trot history. So tell us a little bit about not only did you decide, am I doing this? I'm doing the 100K, but I'm going to do it in this style.
Yeah, well, it was actually about a little over a year ago when I found the Texas Strong Rucking Club when I wanted to start finding more crazy people that wanted to ruck like me. And they had created an event for habanero. And I was like, hold up. Are you guys
Okay.
rucking habanero? Because that's just stupid. Like I only plan to go and volunteer again. Like I was like, I don't want to do this race again. I just want to volunteer. I did that the year before. I volunteered the whole weekend taking care of runners. I love doing that. And then we all started just training all summer, rucking together. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll do the 100K, but I'm not rucking it. And then I don't know. I talked myself into it. I don't know why. I had this battle in my head and I was like, you know what? I have 30 hours. I'm a great power walker. I know the course. I know how to take care of myself in the heat. I used to not be very good in the heat at all because of my weight, but now like I feel fine managing the heat and don't get sick and feel horrible. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wreck the 100K. I think I can do it. And I don't remember what my time was, like 22 hours. I think I finished. I
Yes.
had 30 hours to do it. And I started out with my ruck on my back. I did the first 30K, and I think just watching my feet, making sure I wasn't going to trip on anything because even though it's a not very non-technical course, I will find something to fall on. My lower back did start hurting and my shoulders were hurting a little more. So I switched to my weight vest for the last 70K and had a good time finishing. And so I think I was the first one. There were a few people I think that actually did some shorter distances that year. There was a 10K and a 50K wrecker.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so but it's slowly starting to develop into a thing. Cal says he's going to start making patches for every event. So if somebody decides they're going to wreck, he'll give them a patch. So I think that's really cool of him to start working that into his races. And I don't think you can't specifically yet sign up as a rucker, but if you say, "Hey, I'm wrecking it," like it's more of an honor system, he'll hook you up. So
And I think that's cool. And I really appreciate some of the new things that Cal is bringing to Trot. I think as a race director, when you hold races, you're all there's some comfortability in having it the same, but then at the same time, you kind of look at the race as a whole and you're like, okay, what can we bring that's a little bit different? Can we find another trail like they did at, at Brazos last year? What can
yeah.
we do? So I was excited to see the rucking because there are people that want to do ultras, but they have no desire to run a single step, but they are phenomenal power hikers and power walkers, and they're extremely strong.
Yeah, I
Um,
still don't like running. That's why I run more. And that's how all my training, almost all of my training is with weight. I don't really do anything without it anymore.
well, and I think there's a I know, like in the trail community as a whole, I am seeing more of an influence of people now realizing the benefit of training with weight. I'm not just barbell, but actually putting weight on and getting out there and seeing the benefit of it, of either A, deciding to race with it, or B, when they take it off, it's like, holy crap, I have all this extra power that's in my engine that I didn't realize that I had. It's been there. I just didn't know how to get it out. So I think it's really cool to see how the weighted training is it's kind of spreading itself throughout the trail community because I think it's more than just, snack foods and gas station foods, which we're going to get to in just a minute because that's another really cool race and I can't wait to dive into that. Like it is that race is like the true definition of like trash can panda. So it uh I know like I'm in Taperland and I am like battling the trash can panda syndrome bad. I am just like almost, but I want to take that and I want to pivot a little bit over to the Achilles Hills race. And this is another one where people don't know this race really exists unless you've heard of it specifically on a podcast or you know somebody. And I like that he's not blasting it out there of, hey, this is what I've got. And if I'm correct, it's his private land, correct?
It's the Bridgman family. Well, part of it is, and then the rest is kind of on a public access road. And yeah, it is a very small, very family, kind of feels like just like a small family going out and hanging out all weekend and suffering in the heat on asphalt and in the middle of a pasture with no shade except for when you get back to your canopy. So it's become an event that I really enjoy.
It's a cool race, and I like that he keeps it small. But I'm bringing this one up again because this year the women really took that race over. They won it across the board. I believe there was a course record that was set. And then you, again, with your weighted vest, was like, I'm going to bring something extra and new to this race. And so you created something new again for this race. So tell us a little bit about that. And as a female, I am loving that women are really starting to just knock winning out of the park in the trails and the ultra community. I am freaking loving it. I just love it. So tell us a little bit about the Achilles Hill and what that race is like. Like you've already mentioned, it is very family oriented. And clarify for me here, is that one where it's an invite only?
No,
Or is it out there if people were interested in, because I know that's part of why he doesn't really promote it because he doesn't want it becoming too big.
yeah, I think that's why. I mean, there's not, with parking and probably not wanting to get any type of permit or anything. I don't know if that's something, but because every once in a while there will be a few people that show up and he'll just be like, "So how'd you hear about this?" Because I don't know you, and because we pretty much know everybody. But yeah, this year, so it is on a like 4.1 mile course that he has because he does have a last person standing. But that's pretty much the only race that the rules you have to follow, I guess, per se. And the last person standing was a woman this year, and she did the most that anybody's ever done as the last person standing at this race. So that was really cool to watch. Um, Basically, he tells us go do the first loop, see what the course is. And then after that, it's the honor system, what your watch says. So there's a gas station up the hill we go to sometimes to get popsicles, and I bought a big hat. Yeah, and the person who did the most distance this year, Alyssa, was a woman. Like she did amazing. She did the last couple of her loops with me. And then mine, pretty much every race I do is training for the next thing. So the next big thing after that was Vol State that I did. So I was like, I'm going to do my own thing, take it slow, see how it feels wearing a bunch of weight on me because I had no clue what I was going to carry during the next event. So I just kind of made it my own thing. And also, I kind of had a little birdie in my ear of Victor who talks me into a lot of things. And he mentioned possibly rucking the 100 miler at Habanero this year. So I was like, Okay, Achilles Hill is at the very end of May, beginning of June, when it's just starting to get hot. So I'm going to ruck that to see how it feels to do a 100 miler when it's hot with my weight vest, because I haven't done that yet. I've only done it in the winter. So once I finished that race, I immediately texted Victor and said, I'm not rucking the 100 miler. Um, because I mean, it was fun, but I was like, nope, this is not going to happen. And I had so much support there. I was the last one there. It was a 48-hour race. So I had 48 hours to do what I wanted. Everybody hit their goal and kind of bounced. And I'm like, this is a 48-hour race. I'm getting my money's worth. So I hit 100 miles at about 46 hours. And didn't do the last 2 hours, but I was ready to be done, but I did hit it. So
Yeah, so Victor, we know mutually, and I think it's funny that he is the guilty party.
he always is.
So how did you pivot from I'm not wrecking to I I am? What helped you to transcend the no to a yes?
Well, no, I transitioned from yes, I'm going to ruck. I think I could do 100 miles in
Oh,
30 hours with my ruck.
okay, okay.
And then I was like, it's a little too hot. I really want to make sure I finish this. Um, Depending on what my time goes, I'm bringing it to Habanero this weekend. And if my time is okay, I'll at least do the last loop or two with it, just because.
And I think that would be that would definitely be true your style. I know habanero this year, anybody's showing up. Texas has been a little nice this summer. Meaning we maybe a day or two where it's actually been 100 and the feel might be over that. But Texas has been nice. So
Don't
um
jinx it.
I know that's why I'm kind of hesitating over here. I think somebody in the comment section said that instead of habanero, it was going to be jalapeno.
Jalapeno, the peppercini.
Yes, yes, yes. And then, like you said, it's just like let's not
Never
jinx it.
know. We still have a few more days for the weather to change, so let's not jinx it.
Yeah,
Two
no.
years ago was the worst year, and I only volunteered, and I saw all the carnage, and I don't want to be a part of the carnage.
It, look, I'm gonna really make your anybody that's listening to this that's like peri or menopause. I think like my thermostat being permanently broken, I can't really tell the difference anymore, like what is hot and what is not.
Mhm.
And so my husband's been like, it's hot. And I'm like, but it's really not. And he's like, that's because your thermostat is broken. He's like, this actually might work for you. And I'm like,
It
maybe.
might. That might be your secret weapon.
I was like, maybe, maybe. So I feel like and I like what you mentioned about how each race is kind of training leading into the next one. Because I feel like since back in February, your distance has just been building, building, building. You had the Texas Independent Relay of 200 miles. And that was a solo event. If you've never heard of Texas Independent Relay, Google it. You'll see all the ins and outs of that race. It is a relay race. There are a few people that do it solo. You did it solo and you did it in the most beautiful way for fundraising for Snowdrop. And you're doing it again at Habanero.
Yes.
And I think that, I mean, most people that are in your circle know that you don't just say, hey, I'm running Snowdrop or I'm doing this for Snowdrop. Snowdrop is a very integral part of who you are. And
Yeah.
so it's it's very genuine when you're, I'm going to do this for fundraising. And so talk to us a little bit about Snowdrop because I did peek online. There are still some spots open.
Yes. There's
There's
misconception about that, but yes, it is still open for registration.
Yeah, there is still some they definitely not need volunteers. So if you've got the time, especially like the night portion, that's where they really, really need volunteers. But talk to us just a little bit because I think somebody could absolutely flex and say, look what I'm doing. I'm going to go do this all by myself and make it all about them. And you didn't. You are so true as a person, as a humanitarian of I want this to be on this for this cause. Why is it that Snowdrop is personal? What is it for you that you keep Snowdrop almost really like front and center of what it is that you do when you're out at these trail events?
Yeah, well, first of all, Snowdrop is a foundation for pediatric cancer. The money you raise, most of it actually goes for scholarships for cancer survivors to go to college because cancer is expensive. And then the rest of it usually goes to different hospitals for research and funding for different things. Um, I initially just got into it because I all my friends were doing it. Like when I first when I first found out about it, and it was also in 2015 when I started getting into the scene, and um, I was like, okay, I want to see what this is about. People are running 400 miles. That's crazy. Or for 55 hours. That's crazy. And then when I decided to do it, you have to do these big events. For me, it has to be about something bigger than myself. So if I'm just going in being like, oh, I'm just doing this for myself and I just want to see if I can do it, like in my head, like I could just quit because it's just me.
Right.
But when I'm doing it for somebody else, it really it really makes it more special. So I've been running for a little boy named Hudson, and I always get emotional. He was diagnosed when he was 2 with brain cancer, and he passed away in a year and a half ago. So I ran for him. When I was doing the independence relay, I did every leg to a different child, and most of them aren't here anymore. So it just makes it more special, I think.
I think it's absolutely beautiful and a reminder of the what if of life. Um, and I've gotten to know you better over these last few years. And when I say that she's genuine about this, y'all see the tears. I mean, it's one thing to run for yourself. It's completely another. I remember when you were running the Texas Independent Relay, you each day there was another child, there was another recognition, another remembrance. And I know that the families of these children completely appreciate that. And so when I saw again that you were fundraising for Habanero, I was like, of course she is, because this is the beautiful soul that she is, and this is what she does. So I know at the end of this, guys, I will put the link so that if you feel compelled to, that you will please donate and help her to reach her goal for
I've,
the
I've upped my goal by like 5 times as much as I normally do this year. So
so
I
what's
really,
her goal?
5,000.
We can do
So
this, guys. It's
I'm almost,
5,000.
yeah, I'm almost halfway. So
Okay, see, we're already halfway there. So habaneros in a few days, and she's doing the 100-mile event. And
yes,
so our dumb bunny selves, we're starting at 12 p.m. We have till like 6 p.m. the next day. We got to be going out on the last loop at 4. Um, which like
16 whole loops. So you
yes,
got it.
yes. So let's help her meet her goal. Let's help her meet her goal.
Yeah.
So it's talking about like big miles and goals and fundraising. Let's talk about Volt State because holy cow, I've heard of this race, and it is a race put on by Laz. And if you know Laz, you already know that okay, this is going to be different because Laz really does believe in runners getting back to the old way of running, right? So no fancy watches, no GPS monitoring devices, nothing. You are on your own.
Correct.
And that's what makes Vol State so fun. So it's, well, I say fun. It's
I had
314 it's 314 miles. And once they get off the ferry, they are on their own. They are reliant on their own for sleeping, for food, for water. But in digging through all of the videos, not just on your page, but other people's pages and stuff, I really loved how the town people seemed to also come out for you guys and were there. And that, you know, I'm sure like on day one and two, everything is like still super bright and shiny and exciting. But I've got to imagine like by the fourth and the fifth and the sixth day where you're like, you haven't had a fresh shower, you're using gas station food, that it has got to be the little things that y'all get from the townspeople or that are at the, I'm going to use the word loosely, aid station, because it's not an official aid station, that just kind of give you guys a brain refresher. So, talk to us about Volt State and what that was like. And maybe if somebody feels compelled, it is a lotto. So, you put your name in and you'll know by email if you're in or not. And
yes.
if so, talk to us about the Volt State, this 314-mile journey.
So going back to why Laz has put this on as well is just to also kind of give us a reminder of that there is still human kindness out there because we do
Yeah.
rely on a lot of the kindness of complete strangers. We call them angels. They have road angels that know about this race or just don't know about this race. They call us the walkers. Are you the walkers?
I
Um,
love it. I love it. I love
love
it.
you. And they'll, they start seeing people walking through their town or running through their town, and they're like, they start asking questions. They find out, and they're like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna go pick up some water and some popsicles and some oranges and hand them out to these random strangers coming through my town because this is pretty cool. Like, what they're doing is dumb. I don't understand it, but I'm gonna support these people because that's incredible." There's people who live along the route. Vol State's route pretty much hasn't changed in, I don't know, the 30 or 40 years it's been going on. Um, so people that live along the course have started setting up like canopies. They call them angel stations. They're not aid stations. We don't rely. We were not supposed to rely on them. Like we're not supposed to like, I guess expect it. So we still have to do our research. Like, hey, there's a 10-mile stretch in between towns. We might be getting to the next town when everything is closed. So you kind of have to. It's more of a it's a mental thing too. Like, and yes, the distance is very physical, but you also have a mental game of how am I what am I going to eat next? When am I going to be able to refill my water? When am I going to be able to sleep? Um, we did, I did end up teaming up with a group of people. We call ourselves the trauma bonded trash pandas. We have it's been a month since we finished, and we still have a group text that we talk in every day, which I love. Um, so I think that we all like twice opted to get a hotel to kind of try to shower and sleep. I don't think it was worth it. So we got better sleep on the side of a Dollar General after eating a bunch of food and like trash pandas and sleeping on the side of the building. And we slept on picnic tables. We slept at angel stations. I slept in a hammock, which was amazing that somebody set up somewhere. It was just an incredible journey. Like you said, each day something new would come along and all the excitement for the first 2 days, and then you're like, oh, I'm kind of tired and grumpy and hungry, but I get to do this, so I'm really enjoying the journey that we made. So many dumb stories and memories throughout the whole thing has just like it's been a month and I'm still trying to process everything that happened during this. But it is called a journey race because it's not like a typical race where I mean, some people, yeah, they're trying to win the thing and finish as fast as they can.
Right.
I'm like, I want to experience the whole entire thing. So I want to experience, the kindness of people and get to make connections with strangers and kind of have my own spiritual, going through my own head, like working through my own stuff that I'm going through. It was really cool. Really cool.
Do you think, I know that with TIR you had like a crew or somebody that was staying with you,
Yes.
but did what you did back then, because that was, like I said, that was about 200 miles. Did what, and that was in, when is TIR? March or
Yeah,
April?
end of March.
Into March. So what you did back then, did that help get you ready for what you would need to do for Vault State? Because other than taking away the crew part of it, you're walking, you're on your own.
Yeah.
So did TIR help to get ready for endless miles out there on country roads and you're just going?
It definitely did because even back at Jackalope Jam, I was still having doubts on whether or not I was going to do Vol State because the friend who kind of twisted my arm a little bit and got me to sign up with him wasn't able. Well, there was a high chance he wasn't going to be able to make it, and he wasn't able to. So I was like, oh, I'm terrified of doing this alone. Um, what if I get lost? What if I don't know what I'm doing? And it was at Jackalope Jam talking to Terry, who's a veteran of the race, and Helmut, who's also has done the race. Both of them were like, absolutely do not back out. And then it was after Jackalope Jam that, of course, Victor congratulated me on my performance and was like, hey, if you ever want to do TIR solo, like I'll crew you and pace you. And I was like, oh, maybe 1 year. And he's like, what about this year? And I'm like, that would be good training for Vol State, is of course what I think. So I'm like, okay. And it really it gave me the confidence, I feel like, to be like, okay, I had such like everything went perfectly, I feel like, for TIR. Like, I mean, yes, it was raining the first 2 days, but I feel like that helped me not be out in the heat of the day. It was perfect. And then the last day it was kind of hot, but I was so close to Houston that people started joining me and supporting me. So I got to see a lot of familiar faces out on the course. And then, of course, when the relay runners finally caught up to me, I was winning for until like exchange 34, just to say, like, there's 36 exchanges. I was winning until exchange 34, and then I
Nice,
got passed. Um,
nice.
but, it, but it definitely helps me discover like what I can eat, what I can drink, how to take care of my feet, which I really didn't have a lot of things I needed to do for my feet, surprisingly. But it gave me the confidence to go into Vol State, even though it was, a lot longer, about over 100 miles longer than this. Gave me the confidence to be like, I think I can do that, and finish in time and not stress about Oprah chasing me, and which she's the cutoff in Fall State. You just imagine Oprah running around in her high heels. That's what they call the sweeper, I guess you could say, in Ball State is Oprah.
Nice.
So I was always a day ahead of Oprah during Ball State, so I did not have to worry about her at all.
That was, I think, like, because I know people that did the Arizona 300 this year. That was the first year for it. Um, that's how they kind of looked at it was, well, it's just a little bit further than Coconut, or it's just a little bit further than a 200-mile event. Um, but I feel like as a whole in the trail and ultra community, these bigger distances are really starting to gain in popularity, and people aren't looking, well, most people aren't looking at them to go and win or set a course record. They're going with your mindset, which is, I want to go, I want to have this journey, I want to have this experience, I want to dive in and find out a little bit about more of who I am.
And
Um,
just see what I can do. Like, I
yeah,
still like, what is it? What's the limit? Is there a limit? Like,
yes.
I'm still finishing these and feeling like I don't need any recovery. I feel like I can continue on for like double it and just keep going. If I had the time off, I probably would have turned around and gone back to the ferry. I don't know.
See, now that's interesting because Harvey did that at Badwater one year.
Yeah,
He finished and then turned around and in true Harvey fashion ran back.
yep,
So, I mean, you could do that with Volt or
I could.
TIR.
I
That
could.
would be really interesting. It would be unsupported because I know Harvey's return back to the start was unsupported.
Yeah,
Um, I think he did let the directors know, hey, once I get there, I am turning around and going back. Um, but that's interesting that you don't have a distance yet and that you're finishing these more or less still like, I would like some more, please. What I'd like some more. I That was dinner, that was great, but what's for dessert? So what do you think? I mean, is there a distance in mind that you think is too much, or is that just part of this whole journey that you've been on? And I feel like this started last year a little bit, but really kicked into gear this year.
yeah. I don't know. And going back to, I credit my success now to my wrecking because I feel like it helps my feet. Like, I guess when you're running all the time and then you're kind of forced to slow down and walk, you're not used to, like, you're using different muscles. Your foot strike is differently the way you push off, and I think that's why a lot of people have issues when they do some of the longer distances. Um, yeah, I don't. I'm trying to think. Like, I don't. Like I said, if I had the time off, I would just make my own journey race and go do something. Like, there's a lot of other journey races out there that aren't all like Laz has three of them. And one of them is kind of like every couple of years. I think they've only done it once or twice, maybe. Last annual third circle of hell, I think Latch is what he calls that one.
I
And then he
love it.
has
That is so a name he would come up with too.
yes. And I think you kind of have to like qualify for that one by doing Vol State and Heart of the South, which is another one of his races that you don't know the course until 12 hours before. So that one's kind of in my head, but I think I might wait another year to try to hop into that one. I was just following a 420-mile journey race. There's one in New York I'm looking to maybe do next year for my 40th birthday. That starts at Niagara Falls and it's called Lucky 420. And again, you're kind of self supported for that as well. So I don't know. It's, I don't know if there's a limit. Walking across the United States, doing one of those Caminos in Spain. I don't know.
Yeah, there's I mean, I think that's just really, I think it's really cool that your mind is not closed to one set distance. It's fully wide open to, what else is out there. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier. That's what is so beautiful about our sport because there's so many different ways to approach a distance, create a new distance, and then you get to know some of these directors and you discover, well, they have some other races. They're just not as well known out there. And then you're like, those are really cool. And so I think it's really neat that our sport offers such a diverse way to approach the distance that you want to do. And then, like you said, you do it and then you're like, I'm not too tired. I'm not too tired. And what else can we find out there? So, um, what else is on? I mean, we're a little more than halfway with 25. What else is on the calendar for 25? And what is 26 looking like? Because I mean, we've got some serious mileage underneath our feet, and we're just a little over halfway past the year. So, what's on our calendar coming up?
Well, Habanero is the first race of the Lone Star Slam of 100s.
Okay, so you're
Um,
doing this. Are we doing it?
I'm going to do five of the six
Nice.
races. There was a conflict with one of the races where I really wanted to go back to Tennessee. And there's a big group of Texans going to do a race, 100 miler called Fall Creek up in Tennessee. So doing that. But so I have, oh gosh. Okay, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay, so August, Habanero 100.
Okay.
September, Paris Pear 100K. I may or may not wreck that one again. I wrecked it last year. October is Cactus Rose 100, which is pretty much a self-supported 100 miler out in Bandera. There are aid stations, but they're unmanned and they only have ice and water. So you are responsible for everything. I DNF'd at 95 miles last year. The hallucinations and the dehydration were real, very, very real. So November, Fall Creek 100. And then 2 weeks later is Brazos Bend 100.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to rock that one. I kind of dabbled a little bit with Vince with Trail Toes, and he wants to make me a plate carrier, and we kind of have a bet going. Or if he remembers it, he was at Vol State. We had a lot of conversations about stuff that we may not remember. um, Snowdrop 55 hour at the end of the year. And then January, I've already signed up for Bandera 100K. And February, Rocky Raccoon 100. I still haven't done that one yet. And then the last 100 miler of the Lone Star Slam is Grasslands 100. I DNF'd it last year about mile 80. So I kind of have my DNF redemption tour. Also, I had a lot of big DNFs last year, but I had a lot of big races. So I'm excited to go back and tackle them again.
I love that you're using the word tour because I may be 49, but I still love to journal. It's my
Yeah.
little mental deal that I like. And I use that exact word because I'm in the same boat as far as what I'm looking and wanting to do. But Cactus is out where Bandera is held, right? Or in
Yeah.
similar? Okay.
It's the same area, but pretty much the course. If there's a more difficult route to get somewhere, that's the route you're doing,
Yeah.
as
And
opposed to
it,
Bandera.
I mean, it to have gotten to 95 miles is still a big deal because that course is no joke. It's rocky, it's dry. It is not like down here where you might catch some hills and you've got humidity. When you're dealing with hills and dry air and then like rocks everywhere, it's a whole different um animal. And so I think that's really cool that you are doing I think that's so cool. If anybody can do that, that is you. I'm just kind of to steal a line from Julia Roberts. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants this season because it's kind of like whatever my body's ready for, I'm like, okay, that's what we're gonna do. So I'm living vicariously through everybody else that's like very like planned and this is what I'm doing and I'm over here. I'm just we're just kind of doing it, but I definitely have a tour of like my Brazos Bend bib is up here. Um
I have all my bibs on my bulletin board. Of all the DNFs from last year. And I'm like, okay, I'm going back to get most of them, get some redemption. But, DNFs did nothing foolish. And I learned from like
I love
Cactus
it.
Rose. Cactus Rose, if I would have stopped being stubborn and accepted pacers, my pacer would have gotten me the last 5 miles to the finish or made sure I slept a little bit at some point. I tried and just couldn't, and I was up for like 48 hours straight, and the hallucinations are very, very fun. I hadn't really had that before, so that was exciting. Who needs drugs when you have ultra running?
Look, right? I've heard of some funny ones. Like Andrew Glaze has talked about having like whole conversations, and then like by the time he snaps out of it, he's like, "Oh, there's no one there." So,
Oh, yeah, there were a lot of aid stations with people in them talking, and they were just groups of trees. And the man in the kilts was a very interesting one.
okay, see, if you open the door to hallucinations and talk about a man in the kilt, you've got to give us a little bit more backstory. So,
Oh,
who's
no.
the man in the kilt?
I don't know who he was, but I was going towards a tree and he was peeking around the tree and he had like a sword on his hip and I was just looking and looking and then he wasn't there. And I even like waved at a weed and said hi puppy because it was a dog. Like I don't it's
Oh,
crazy that
girl.
you remember the hallucinations too after the fact. So
Now I feel like at habanero we need to find a weed. We need to find a name for it, and it needs to be the same
well,
one in the same place, so we can all just go by, give it a
try
little.
and call it hi puppy. It was just puppy. It was a puppy.
Oh gosh, this has been so fun. I'm really excited. I have just it just been awesome just to see. I mean, you've always been somebody that's been strong. I've always have like when she's out at races or volunteering, your whole disposition and attitude, even if the race might not be going your way, you're still out there with a good attitude. And I think that's really hard. Some people, their race starts to tip upside down and then they tip upside down and then nobody wants to be around bad energy because
There's the power of the positive attitude. So I try
yeah.
to follow that. And even when I'm in my struggle bus, I don't want to project that onto somebody else. So I make sure that I'm trying to stay as upbeat and happy and positive as I can, not only for my benefit, but for everybody else.
And I think that's such a great way to look at it. So, but this has been super fun. I cannot wait to see the rest of these races. I know that you're going to finish them. And so especially at Grasslands because Grasslands is the last one for the Texas Grand Slam. So this is Texas's Grand Slam. These are races that Libby has said that if you complete these, then then you get this extra buckle. So, which I'm just like I said, I'm super stoked for you. So thank you again so much for coming on, and we will be following you along. Thank you so much again.